Okay, this is KP4MD. Our live stream is now live on YouTube.
KP4MG, do you want me to be net control?
Yes, if you could, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much, James.
Good evening, this is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, your net control operator for the River City ARC Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARCS members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions, and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break, break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I'll recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec.
Evening, Alpha India 6 Delta Go.
Good evening, and November Romeo 6 Hotel. This is Anders in Folsom.
This is Carol Killerpop for Mike Delta in Citrus Heights.
Good evening, everybody. N6PGQ, AI6DG, NR6H, and KP4MD. Are there any other stations who wish to participate tonight? Okay, well, we'll go in order starting with N6PGQ. Are you ready to send a photo?
Yeah, let's see if we can get this thing to actually work. This is November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec. This is going to be PG 120.
Bob. Well, I see a pickup truck with a fancy antenna on it. Look forward to hearing more about the situation, where this is. It almost looks like a desert town, but of course it could be local. AI6DG, Joel, do you want to comment?
Okay, so we've got a black pickup truck, 4x4, heavy duty, sitting on a driveway in front of a garage, but you can't really see much of the garage, just the slightest sliver of it on the left. Nice blue sky with some light, hazy clouds in the background. Brown grass field in the background with some houses in the background. So yeah, it could easily be here, or especially considering the weather we've had, we're far enough into spring that things have started drying out. Tar heel or screwdriver antenna mounted on a little offshoot off the bumper to the side of the truck. Piece of cardboard kind of sitting under the truck, and the truck is sitting on, they're not lifts. I don't know what those, maybe they only raise it a couple of inches maybe, so I'm not sure what the truck is parked on, but it's got these little like wedge ramp things that take it up a couple of inches, and I only see them on the near side. I don't know if they're on the far side or not, but okay, so what kind of antenna, how well does it work, what band does it work on, and what do you have in the truck that's feeding it? How did you wire power and antenna to it to get it from wherever it needs to come from to wherever it needs to go, in other words, to the transceiver? Info. We want the story. Back to net, AI6DG.
AI6DG, great comments, good questions. Anders, good to hear you. November Romeo 6 Hotel, what do you think?
Good evening. Yeah, I see what Joel said. Pickup truck leaning slightly to the right. I also think that the wedges are only on this side of the truck. I don't see them on the far. It looks like the whole thing is leaning slightly to the right. And I assume that that's just to get a little more room to mount this. The mount for the antenna, right? It looks like almost the antenna can swing around the bumper there, maybe. I don't know if that's a feature, or it looks like it's not coming out 90 degrees from the back of the car there. So very interested to hear what this antenna does and how it works and all those details. So yeah, listening for the details. NR6H, back to you.
NR6H, thanks. Carol, KP4MD.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I have to agree. I see the pickup truck. It looks like it's parked in Bob's driveway. That's what I'm going to guess. That's in Bob's driveway, and that's a screwdriver antenna. I can't say for sure if it's a Tar Heel or not. There are a number of other companies that make screwdriver antennas like that, tunable, remotely tunable with a motor inside the mast that raises or lowers the coil. Basically, I guess it's almost like a center loading coil. And there's a thin whip you could see protruding from the top of the coil. And yeah, I noticed also the pickup is tilted a bit. The wheels on the left of the vehicle are a bit raised, perhaps to modify the radiation pattern of that antenna. It may possibly favor radiation going over towards the direction of the driver's side. Maybe there was some GX coming from that side and you needed just a few degrees of increased height on the antenna. Who knows? So back to nets, KP4MD.
KP4MD, thanks. Bob, N6PGQ, you have a lot of questions to answer here. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, we'll start out kind of in the middle. The goal was to check into the 10-meter net tonight with a mobile rig. But
best laid plans and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, I had a Tar Heel screwdriver antenna that I mounted on this truck, and the company is out of business, and parts are impossible to find, and I usually couldn't get a very good SWR match on the antenna, so I gave up and purchased a Tar Heel antenna. Pause. And it came in a nice long box, and I started actually reading the manual and checking all the parts list off on Tuesday afternoon inside, and made sure I had everything. And bright and early on Wednesday, I started putting this on. Now, everything is different from a High Sierra antenna to a Tar Heel. The High Sierra had a 2-conductor control cable. This has 4. It wasn't the same, so everything had to be replaced. So we'll continue after I pause. The antenna is mounted on the side of the trailer hitch assembly. There's a cross piece that goes across, and the antenna base, the one that you're looking at there, goes into the side of the trailer hitch mount and comes out, and then obviously goes up to vertical. It took me most of the day to get all the wiring through the frame of the car, and it goes into the truck. I guess I should say truck. It goes into the truck through a rubber grommet that is in the back underneath the carpeting. So you have to lift the carpeting up and put the coax and the control line and everything through that, and then bring it into the truck. And that was the hardest part of it. Running the coax and hooking the antenna up was the most time-consuming. But like I said, best laid plans. The wires are inside, and I haven't hooked up the controller, haven't programmed the controller, and haven't even tried it. So hopefully tomorrow morning when it's cooler, we'll give it a shot and maybe get on the air. N6PGQ.
Any questions for Bob?
And another comment, those wood blocks are on one side so I could crawl under and not hit my head on things. And I made those ramps a whole bunch of years ago with a handsaw and cut the big block of wood at an angle, and they've worked ever since. Probably they're, I don't know, guess 40 years old or something like that. N6PGQ.
Question.
Go ahead, question.
Okay, yeah, Bob, which controller did you go with for that antenna over?
The one that's not, doesn't automatically tune the antenna, but just has memories.
Okay, I'm sorry, did you say that was an MFJ controller?
No, it's not. My brain stopped. It's a mini something.
Okay, yeah, curious out, just interested. I think you asked me once about my controller. I'm using the Target Tuner, over.
Okay, good. Well, I'll let you know if it works. I have to get out there with my antenna analyzer and make a chart, and then probably make it on a 3x5 card and laminate it and keep it with the radio so that I know where the heck to tune the thing while I'm going down the road.
Hopefully you're not tuning it while you're driving, because that can be very hazardous.
Absolutely, you're right. Fortunately, I usually have a passenger with me who can, crank to the next memory location.
N6PGQ, thank you. Very interesting. I admire the fact that you picked the hottest day of the year so far to take on this project outside. But very interesting project and a lot for all of us to learn. Joel, AI6DG, are you ready to share your picture?
1 moment. First off, let's make sure I have tone. So, yeah.
That worked.
1 moment. Let me get my call sign in. Yeah. PD 120.
Okay, AI6DG, your picture came through. I have a really clear picture with some pixel pops. It looks like it's taken with a fisheye lens at nighttime. See the antenna on the left and the ladder and the tower, and there just seems to be a lot going on. I'm wondering if that's your roof. Anyway, Anders, do you want to comment on Joel's picture, NR6H?
I had a good reception, black bars on the top and bottom, but a clear picture in the middle. Not that many pixel pops, pretty clear picture there, even though some of the colors are very solid. So with a blue sky, blue night, or dusk type sky there. I see the tower in the middle, a ladder that is kind of precariously put next to it there. Looks like somebody needs to hold on when you go up that ladder and don't step on the top platform there. I think this is Joel's roof, and there's some kind of antenna work being performed here. Looking forward to hear what's going on that roof. I think last time I saw it, there were plenty of antennas. Maybe there are even more now. NR6H back to net.
NR6H, KN6QNJ, thanks. Does look a little bit dangerous up there. Carol, KP4MD, go ahead.
Yeah, this is KP4MD. I agree. This having a step ladder like that on a roof, be really careful that it's not going to tip over. This could be dusk. It could be also dawn. I don't know if Joel gets up at 4:30 in the morning to do work on the roof when it's nice and cool. Anywho, there is what looks like a television antenna on the mast over on the left side. It looks like the one of the elements may be bent. The others are like in the shape of a V, and there's the last one on the right looks like it might be not in the same configuration. And let's see, really can't say very much else about this. So back to Nets, KP4MD.
KP4MD, thank you. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, I can't add too much to what everyone else has said. And I'm trying to figure out if the pole on the right is a telephone pole or some type of an antenna support, because there seems to be a matching one on the left. So we'll see when AI6DG lets us know, N6PGQ.
That's a perfect transition to AI6DG. Joel, go ahead.
Hey, I'm definitely a bit of a camera fan. I have 5 cameras around the house now, and people who may find out about that wonder if I'm worried about getting broken into or theft or something, and not really. It's just I like to know what's going on around the house, and when I'm off on a trip, it's nice to know that to be able to connect and look at the cameras and see it's still there. So this is a new camera that I just put up on the roof, and I'm not even. This is just a temporary kludge, actually. I've got it's actually an indoor camera that I somehow need to figure out how to outdoor proof to leave up there, but right now it's just sitting on a board. It's USB powered and communicates wirelessly. So I've got an extension cord going up there to a USB adapter that's plugged into it. But what I can do in the long term is you can actually get like 40-foot USB power cable. So it's power only, no data, because that's far too long for a USB data cable to work. So I'll probably get that and route it into the attic to an outlet or to power in the attic itself. Going from left to right, leftmost, you've got a TV antenna on a 15-foot pole that's connected to a chimney there at the bottom on a chimney mount. You can see a coax going off to the side of it at a weird angle at the bottom of that pole that's actually going up to the antenna I'm talking on right now. It's a 3-band, 2-meter, 440, 1.2 gig tri-band, and I've got some LMR 600 type, not the real stuff. I'm a cheapskate. And it's way overkill for 2-meter and 440, but I was thinking in terms of the 1 gig, as if I actually even have a 1.2 gig transceiver. I don't, but planning for the future. Let it dry. You might see a line going up at an angle from the base of that up towards the center. That's actually a guideline going to the pole that's in the dead center, right next to the ladder. The ladder and the tripod mini mast or mini tower both are designed for a flat roof, so I had to extend the down slope legs, the appropriate length for that ladder and that mini tower to work right. The ladder is there temporarily, although it's been there an awfully long time. I need to decide what I'm going to do with that. And yes, it's rickety, and that's kind of why I've not used it much, because it doesn't get me high enough up, but it is at least roped to the mini tower. The mini tower is very rigidly bolted into the rafters of the roof. It is not going anywhere. And it has a little mount in the middle of it behind the X cross pieces for a rotor. I have a thrust bearing at the very top of it and 2-inch PVC pipe going up 20 feet with the intention of eventually figuring out some way of getting a hex beam up on the top of that. But the idea is the whole mast and antenna would turn, and the rotor's at the bottom, not at the top. And that way you get away with using a lighter rotor and not have that weight all that way up at the top of PVC pipe, which wouldn't stand up very well to that. It's questionable whether how I'm using it would even work. And on extreme lower right, you see some solar panels, some of the solar panels on my roof. The mast that sticks up on that end is on my roof, and it's another two pieces of 10-foot PVC electrical conduit, and that is the far end of my 10 to 80 end fed. The wire actually goes down from there to the roof, and then to the top of the one that's in the center, and then the top of another 20-foot pair of 10-foot sections at the back of the house, and to another pair of those that's at ground level at the property line at the very back of my property, and then to the back across to the front of to the house, to the back of the house. So 130 feet can be difficult to get stretched out on a small suburban lot. But anyway, this was just taken literally just before the net started, so that's the day and nighttime. And nice camera. It does pretty nice in low light conditions. But this is my roof and the current state of one project, and I'm hoping to catch some nice sunsets with this camera sometime in the future. Back to Nettie I6D. Sorry for taking so long.
AI6D, that's really interesting. I had gutter guards installed on our gutters when we re-roofed several years ago, so I don't even have to go on a ladder. I just take a brush on a pole to get rid of debris. So what you're doing on the roof is exactly what I have hoped to avoid, but I'm really impressed, and I'm sure everybody else is. Just be careful. Anders, NR6H, are you ready to transmit a picture?
I believe I am, and I will give it a shot here. This will be a PD 120.
Well, we have a good copy in our 6H. This is KN6QNJ. It looks like somebody is hanging a band scanner out their apartment window from a very interesting building architecturally. I've never seen a building designed like this, so it'll be interesting to learn more about that. But good copy, came in really well. Let me move to Bob, N6PGQ.
Boy, I don't have a clue. Obviously it's not real busy because there's only like 3 cars in the left picture, and I can't tell what in the right picture is on the roof. It almost looks like an airplane going by, but who knows? This is going to be really, really interesting. Architecture's kind of interesting too. N6PGQ.
Yeah, I agree. In the lower left, I might see a Volvo parked there, but I'm not sure. Carol, KP4MD, what do you think?
Yeah, this is KP4MD. It's an interesting building. It looks like a bunch of stacked boxes, a very modular design. Perhaps something along the idea of IKEA. Yeah, that looks like an aircraft sitting on top of the building. Very unusual. I'm going to guess this is somewhere in Europe, maybe even in Sweden. Back to Nets, KP4MD.
Thank you, KP4MD. Joel, AI6DG.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of looks like Europe, although there's not really anything on the street scene on the left to tell you that. But this doesn't look like something you'd find over here. But it's fascinating, geometrically rigid type of construction, and I agree. Is it modular, prefabbed off-site and then modularly constructed, or is it just designed to look this way and built on-site? But looks like residential housing. I don't know what it is on the roof. I kind of see something on both left and right kind of up on the top of the building, but it kind of looks like the tail of a helicopter. But who knows? I mean, it could be something as simple as a window washer crane. But so, forward to the story. Back to Net AI6DG.
Thanks, AI6DG, KN6QNJ. Anders, NR6H. Please tell us what this is.
So this picture was taken about a week ago when I visited my mom in Stockholm, and these 2 buildings, the tall ones obviously, are fairly new. They opened up, one of them opened up in 2018, the other one in 2020, so this was the first time I got to see them in real. They are way taller than most things in Stockholm, so they definitely made a dent in the landscape picture of the city. You see them from pretty much anywhere you are in the city. They stick up quite a bit. Most buildings in that area is about 5 or 6 stories high. As you can see from the street view there, picture on the left, 5 or 6 stories is pretty typical. They call this area Vasastaden, and all the buildings there are made out of stone, heavy stone, thick walls, and these 2 buildings are brand new. Short break. They were quite controversial when they came up because they thought that the architecture was too much alike San Francisco Embarcadero area. So I'm not sure what in the Embarcadero they thought this looked like. I think there was once, or is maybe still, that fountain there in the Embarcadero square that kind of has some aspects of this modular design. Maybe that's what they took it from. But that was one of the arguments, that this was too much inspired from the San Francisco Embarcadero area, so they didn't like it in the Stockholm view. But anyway, they came up. They look like this. They look actually quite awesome up close. The buildings are about 400 feet tall. They're 36 and 33 stories high, respectively, and together they contain about 300 apartments, so it is all residential.
That's very interesting. How long were you visiting?
Thor's Towers, and the reason for the Thor's is simply that the street below it is called Thor's Street, so that's pretty simple. The thing on the top, I thought, well, first when I saw it, I kind of twitched and said, hey, well, there are two helicopters on top of the Thor's Towers. There's not. That's actually a crane. So they swing that out, and it's permanently mounted on top of there. It's not for the construction. It's permanently mounted on there so that you can lift heavy stuff like couches or pianos or whatever you want in your apartment. You lift it up, and they open up that big window, and in it goes through the window. So that's how you get things up in the towers, because the elevators are simply too small for anything big and heavy. So that's what those cranes are for. I've never seen that before, so I figured that was worth a picture. And that is the story behind this. N6H back to net.
N6H, really interesting. That is most interesting about the permanently mounted crane on the outside to move in heavy pieces of furniture, etc. Any other questions for Anders before we move to Carol? MD, are you ready? Okay, KP4MD, I have a good copy. Looks like either a birthday party or a swap meet somewhere. Look forward to hearing about that. I don't know if this is something that's happened recently or sometime in the past. Anders, N6H, why don't you describe what you see?
Well, obviously it's a picture from the future. There's a swap meet this Saturday, right? So it must be from that. Or maybe not. Bunch of people, most of them turning their back to the camera, I think. And not sure what they're trading or looking at, but guessing it has something to do with radios. So hoping to learn more. N6H, back to net.
N6H, thanks. AI6DG, Joel.
Well, it's obviously a ham swap, so the question is which one? Could it be Dayton, or could it be the Elks Lodge swap from last year, or some other swap? What about the one up at what was it? Was it Loomis or Lincoln or no Loomis? Loomis. So yeah. Again, which one? Recent? How far back? Not the future. But I'm thinking Elks Lodge from last year. And looking to see, okay, tents, backed up cars, tables with gear on them. Too far away to tell what's there. Hey, did anyone watch any of the YouTube videos that people streamed or recorded from Dayton this past weekend? Some pretty good videos out there. Back to net, AI6DG.
AI6DG, no, but thanks for reminding me, because I did see some post-convention information being promoted. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, knowing that Carol was going to go to the Bay Area for a ham swap last weekend, I think she took a picture there. And my brain has not remembered where it is, but looks like a typical ham swap. Nice day, clear blue sky, and quite a few vendors. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Carol, KP4MD, tell us about it.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. The swap meet that I went to, like you say, a few weekends ago, was the Valley of the Moon. That's the one in Sonoma, but this is not. This is a picture of last year's Carmichael Elks ham, radio, and electronics swap meet. And I've been actually posting this on some of the social media promotions for this coming Sunday. I will be at the ARRL information booth, and there's going to be a number of people there selling stuff and maybe some vendors. We're going to do another door prize. The grand door prize would be a $100 gift certificate from Ham Radio Outlet Sacramento. A number of other door prizes being given away, and going to be coffee and water and maybe donuts and hot dogs. Maybe even something more. They had a nice selection of stuff last year there inside the Elks Lodge for us. So come and enjoy the fun on Sunday. It starts at 7 a.m., goes through to about 11 a.m. And good news is the forecast is going to be under 70 degrees all that Sunday morning. So going to be way past the heat wave that we have now. So you hit it right on the nose there, Joel. Back to Nets, KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol, KP4MD, KN6QNJ. How many people showed up last year?
There were a few hundred. I didn't take exact count, but I think they were estimating it was something like around 300 or so. Of course, they weren't all there at the same time. They were kind of drifting in and out, starting at 7 a.m. Some were actually before 7. You know, the early birds try to snatch the good stuff. But we were very well there until 11 a.m.
That's really great. I won't be able to make it this year, which I'm kind of sad about, but I'm trying to get some of my friends to go who are looking for radio. So fingers crossed for them. Any other comments or questions for Carol? Okay, I'm going to send a photo PD 120. Okay, Bob, N6PGQ.
Oh my. Well, it looks like a mural of some kind. It may be on the ceiling, but you can see a person in the very lower portion of the picture, and then the sky above it, and a tree to the right. So yeah, I'll be interested to know where this is. It's kind of interesting. Clouds in the center. Nice quality. N6PGQ.
Thanks, N6PGQ. This is KN6QNJ. AI6DG. Joel.
Yeah, this really had me going for a while because I couldn't figure out if we were looking down at a carpet or up at the lobby of some fancy hotel. It just wasn't clicking until the picture showed up. I think we've seen this before, but from a different angle, and I think this is the covered entryway to a building downtown somewhere. I don't know if it was Sacramento or Stockton or somewhere else. But this is like the entryway into a building, and it's enclosed, and we're looking up at the mural. Wow, how often do you put a mural on a ceiling? Wow, that's interesting. But again, I think there's obviously a mural on the two sides of the entryway, and probably off-screen to our left also as you walk into the lobby of whatever building this is. But, oh wow, trippy. Nice art, definitely of an era. Kind of reminds me of, who is it? What was the artist that did the posters for all the rock concerts down in the Bay Areas back in the psychedelic era? Back to net, AI6DG.
Thanks, AI6DG. Anders, NR6H.
Very interesting perspective for sure. I don't think I have seen this before. Definitely looks like some form of mural or painting, and the angle makes it really hard to figure out the scale, dimension, and direction of this whole thing. It looks like well, kind of cool with that skylight there. Hard to see if it's a glass skylight or a painted sky, but I think it's painted because there are more clouds in it than it is on the right-hand side of the real sky. And then the window that pokes out on the left there, I think is part of the mural. It's not a real window, but not sure. So, yeah, curious to hear what this is. And R6H, back to you.
Thanks, Anders. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah. I gotta use this mic to be heard over the YouTube. I'm gonna guess, yeah, psychedelic. So I don't know too many different psychedelic painters. I know Peter Max was kind of, but I don't think it was this intricate. And Andy Warhol did some of the more, not really psychedelic stuff, but a different type of art. This looks like a product of the Summer of Love, you know, back from Haight-Ashbury, when a bunch of youngsters from all over the country arrived in San Francisco to have out-of-mind experiences with different substances and what have you. And this might have been one of those type of illusions that one of the artists perhaps viewed under the influence. But that's just history, that's for sure. I'm guessing, and it looks an awful lot like the entranceway to the Solomon's Deli downtown, which I know you have connections with. So this is my guess. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
Well, that's an excellent guess. Yes, this is at Solomon's at 730 K Street. It's now a restaurant, which my wife is part owner of. And I sat down for lunch outside on Sunday, and I looked up and I saw this interesting perspective, as Anders pointed out, and I took this shot. The original mural was painted in 1972 or 73 by Frank Carson when Russ Solomon opened Tower Records. So it's one of the few public psychedelic murals in the United States. When my wife and her partners got the space, they worked with the city to commission the rehabilitation of this mural. And in fact, Frank Carson's granddaughter was one of the artists to restore it. So it's very cool. Joel, you're right. I have shown a different perspective of this before several months ago, but I just thought this was an interesting shot, particularly because, as Anders pointed out, the blue, I wish the blue was more perfect, but it almost looks like you're looking through the circle there. Break. Anyway, it is an interesting perspective, and when you see it in real life, it is pretty impressive. The windows are actually the windows on the second floor where they hold live music events in the evenings, particularly Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And they now have, post-COVID, started the art gallery upstairs. So there's rotating art up there. Anyway, does anybody have any questions? I will also point out that the food is very good. With that, I think I'll close the net. Thanks to all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:54 p.m. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, wishing all of you a good evening.